It's been quite a while, hasn't it? But at last I bring some great news. This video is the release announcement for Alchemist 002. I will list all the important changes from the previous version, including the latest set of updates that happened since the last video. For that reason, this video is quite long, even though I will do my best to be brief. If you want more details, you can watch my previous devlogs. Those of you who are impatient can proceed to download the game right now, link is in the description, but I suggest that you stay with me for a while. What I'm going to show is probably going to be of interest. Among the important updates is the addition of menu, with all the expected functionality and a background to meditate upon. Unlike the old version, where there was no way to save your game and frankly little reason to, this one saves the game on exit and auto-saves it every couple of minutes. You are still limited to one save per character, and the death still means your save is deleted. All icons are now colored. Inventory icons use color coding to tie the raw materials to the resulting ingredients and potions to their components. Other interface icons are also colored, using the same technique for stylistic consistency. In-game interface is completely reworked. Log is given a lot more space now, and its messages fade out gradually. Icons to the right take less space than before and allow full mouse control now. Mouse controls for movement are fully supported now. Instead of only allowing to click on adjacent squares to move, you can point wherever you want and the game will show the path. When there is danger in vicinity, however, movement will be limited to one step at a time, and the path shown will indicate that by switching to a single arrow instead of full path. Similar option is available for keyboard controls through examination mode. Repeated movement and repeated actions can also be queued by holding shift when pressing direction. The game now creates proper seams with textures like walls and roads, so that they no longer look so blocky. Several tiles have been redrawn for better looks. Fire leaves scorch marks on the ground. Poison effect now has graphics. Certain objects like mirrors or metal chains now reflect light, causing glow dependent on ambient brightness. For better clarity, the floor has been made less contrast, and light from sources like torches now reaches farther. Moving between areas is now accompanied by a transition effect. Now the game has background music at all times. There is the menu theme, 2 arrangements of the tavern theme, 3 themes for the outskirts and the wilderness theme. There are sounds for many in-game actions and interfaces now too. Story and a couple of characters to talk to have been introduced to the game, with a fully fledged dialogue system. There is a lot of dialogue in the game even at this point. Introduction has been remade completely, with character dialogue replacing pop-up messages. There is more opportunity to learn from him and about him. Intro is also skippable after you finish it for the first time. The outskirts have been rearranged and expanded significantly. Your hideout is now connected to the actual tavern, where you would find Ricardo the bartender, and your room is made somewhat livable, instead of just serving the function. The area behind town walls is also a lot larger now, including a long part of wall, the lonely tree and the stables. Dangerous remote areas are no longer directly connected to the outskirts, instead you reach them by riding a horse from the stables. You learn about locations from the bartender, who gives you a procedurally generated description. He can also give you some advice, which is way more useful than it should be considering his job. There is no limit to how many locations you can mark on your map and subsequently visit, aside from your own will. Potentially, you can keep on generating new places to visit forever. Areas have more variety now, with 4 kinds of locations on offer, of which 2 are forests and 2 are different kinds of ruins. Each area has its own unique features, including some kind of reward at the end with a lot of loot and potentially some danger. On the other hand, the amount of loot encountered on your way to the reward is now a lot lower. New dungeon features have been added to the pool in an attempt to make dungeons more distinct and interesting. New challenges are also present, like locked and trapped doors and new kinds of enemies, immaterial shadows from the mirror, slow but sturdy animated armors, poisons and deadly worms. The game uses something that glitters, a new component obtained from gold, gems, etc. as money. You can trade with Barkeep to buy some of his wares in exchange for it. A lot of flavorful items have been added, mostly related to new objects and areas. A couple of new alchemical components added too. Considering new usable items. Potion of Purity clears all status effects. Potion of Liquid Chaos copies the effect of a random other potion. Potion of Inner Fire gives you immunity to cold. Potion of Frozen Time stops the time for 10 turns, letting you act uninterrupted. Potion of Corpse Light summons a spirit that lights the area, gives you vision and applies freeze to everyone except for you. Lockpick lets you open locked doors and chests safely. With larger, more dangerous world, there is also more reason to use some of the older potions now. New push action allows you to move certain objects and immobilize the enemies. This second release is a lot less of a playable prototype than the first one used to be. This version has a lot more content, both in gameplay and in story department, and potentially infinitely long playtime, though you will probably get bored at some point. I've also tried my best to make the game more playable, easier to control, and considered all of your suggestions. However, there are still many aspects of the game yet to be implemented, like character progression, proper quests, etc. I released this version as pay what you want. As always, there is no pressure, but it's been a year of hard work for me and for my colleagues too. You can also help me by liking or sharing this video, not to mention I'm always happy to see your comments and feedback. If you're interested in more frequent, smaller updates, you can also subscribe to my Twitter. See you next time!